Welcome back to our house for tea. Now, Christmas pudding can be a bit tricky on the low FODMAP diets, your traditional pudding. I actually love it. Well, I did love it. But the rest of my family aren't actually so keen anyway, and they prefer something lighter. So what I'm going to do is a sort of sponge pudding that you can cook in the microwave. I know microwaves aren't great for all cooking because they kill things and whatever, but this is one meal a year, so I'm not going to feel too bad about it. I'm going to start off, I've got some cranberries here. Now, a low FODMAP serving of dried cranberries is 13 grams. This pudding will serve at least 6 people, so you're fine, you're within your limits, as long as you don't eat at all. And I've put 2 tablespoons of orange juice, that's not concentrated orange juice, over it, because I want them to soak for a little bit first. I mean, as much time as you've got really. 20 minutes is ideal, but otherwise just do it right at the beginning before you start weighing anything else. And that should be enough time for them to just plump up a little bit. So I'm going to set those aside until I need them. I've got this, it's a 2-pint pudding dish. It's actually a plastic one, which does the trick well in the microwave. Otherwise you can just use any other pudding basin. The good thing about this is it already has a lid attached. It's very important to grease it as much as you can. So in addition to the butter that you need for the recipe, you also need quite a bit to really get round to the bottom, and including the lid as well, just so you don't have it sticking afterwards. If you are going to cover with cling film, try and put a bit of grease on that as well so it doesn't all get stuck and pull your pudding apart. In the bottom of it I have 3 tablespoons of marmalade. It's not a particularly fancy marmalade, it does have bits in it though. I do like bits in my marmalade. And I've just spread it around so that it's all covered all over the base. It's not in one big lump, so give it a bit of a squish about in there. So yes, very important, do make sure you grease your basin. Now my standard sponge mix is to weigh the eggs first. Yes, it does contain eggs, so I won't be using this one, but the rest of my family will be. So I've weighed my eggs. I had 2 medium eggs and they were 116 grams. So I've made a note of that figure so I'll remember for later, and I've just lightly beaten it with a tablespoon of coconut milk. That's not the canned stuff, that's the UHT stuff. I do prefer cocoa milk when I'm doing baking because I think the fat works better, and I don't have to justify that, I prefer it. So yes, that's all you need to know. Now you're going to use the same amount of sugar and butter and flour as you are egg, basically. So we've got 116 grams of egg, therefore we have 116 grams of butter, 116 grams of, it's a gluten-free self-raising flour blend. I tend to always use Dove's Farm just because it's for consistency's sake, basically, and I think most of you can get hold of that. Now my sugars, I'm using half caster sugar and half light muscovado, or you can use light brown sugar. So that's actually 58 grams of caster sugar and 58 grams of light muscovado. I do prefer to have a darker colour to my sponge to make it look more like a Christmas pudding, in fact. So my butter is soft, it's goat's butter, no cow, but you can use cow if you feel that way inclined. I'm just going to start off creaming them together with a wooden spoon, basically so that when I start using my hand whisk, it doesn't all fly out of the bowl. So, I mean, I'm sure now I've said that, it will fly out of the bowl anyway, but I'm just going to start it off. Okay, so that is now more suitable to stick the whisk into. I'm just wondering if I can get away without using my finger. So, no, I can't. To get it off the spoon. So that's about the stage we want it to be. Now I'm going to start with my hand whisk. I'm going to cream it till it's fluffier. It'll never be as fluffy as when you use caster sugar and butter, but we'll see. Also going to be using my silicone spatula because it really does do the best job of bringing it all down. it's easier to scrape off on the beaters as well. Right. So next I'm going to add a teaspoon of orange extract. This is a Valencian orange extract, no less. I do use this in quite a lot of recipes actually. It's amazing the flavour it can give. Must make sure I put the lid on. Right, so just give that another quick burst again. Okay, next I'm going to add the egg, which is just lightly beaten with the cocoa milk to make sure it's all combined. And a good way I find of whisking this in so it doesn't curdle is just to add a tablespoon of the flour, delicately done, and give it a quick whisk through. Okay, now I'm going to leave those beaters for a while, and I'm going to sift in the rest of my flour. Along with my spices as well now. So I have half a teaspoon of mixed spices, half a teaspoon of ground ginger, and then quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon. So just sift all that in together. There's always a few bits that won't go through. Okay. And then normally I would just throw caution to the wind and stick the electric whisks in again for just cupcakes and things, but this time it is Christmas. I'm doing it properly and it's folding in, so you need to fold with a metal spoon. This is quite a nice shape for it. So you sort of scrape around the edge and put it on top. So you want to do this lightly, but not too cautiously, because it does all need to mix together. Okay, so that's quite well blended. Now I'm going to add my nuts, because I do want it to taste a bit Christmas puddingy, even though it doesn't necessarily look it. I've got 30 grams of walnuts here, and a low FODMAP serving is 30 grams, so obviously you share between the 6 of you, 5 grams. Good maths. I've got walnut pieces. They said they were walnut pieces, but actually they were quite large, so all I've done is just crush them lightly with my thumbs till we get pieces that are sort of that size instead. Tiny size, but not dust. So I'll put those on. And then I'm also mixing in, oh, they've plumped up quite nicely, mixing in my cranberries with the orange juice. The whole lot goes in together, including the orange juice. So it is beginning to look a bit wetter. what I would say for Christmas dinner is you don't necessarily want to be doing all of this in one go, sort of leaving the table and going off and making a pudding. So what you can do is you can whisk the butter and sugar together first and have that ready. Have everything weighed out, like your flour and your spices. Have your basin ready greased, have your eggs ready beaten. Literally, you'll be doing the folding and also soaking your cranberries, but you'll be doing the folding in when it comes to making the pudding. So I'm going to put this on top of the marmalade now. And now we see just how clumsy I am. Please let it go in. I'll feel right woolly if it doesn't. So far so good. So it will look a bit curdly because of all the juice that's gone in. But I'm just going to change to my spatula now. Okay, and then just lightly smooth it. I mean, it'll all sort itself out in the microwave, but I don't know, just for consistency's sake, do give it a light rub on top. Now, when it is cooking, you will find that the cranberries and the walnuts perhaps have a tendency to sink down to the bottom. Actually, that's fine, because when you turn it out later, it means they'll all be sort of dotted around the top, and that can look quite nice, really. So, lid on. And this is going to go into the microwave now for, it's 6 minutes. We've got an 800 watt microwave. I think it's category E, I think it is in technical terms. So, see it on the other side. Right, I'm going to take the lid off now. Watch out for steam. You can see, well, you probably can't see actually, but it's gone springy now and will come away from the edges. It's really hot. Just in case, I'll give it a quick loosen. Yeah, that seems fine. So it's never done this before. I've made it so many times previously, and it's never boiled to the top before. But you know, this time it has, because I'm filming it, and that's the way life is. So I'm just going to get my plate and put it over. So there's a lot of me being almost burnt. So carefully lift it off. And also, because I'm being filmed, the marmalade bits have fallen off to the side. Now what you'll find is a lot of the marmalade has sunk into the pudding, but that's not actually a bad thing. I rather like it because it keeps the marmalade going all the way through the core. Admittedly, my presentation isn't great. What with the... Tell you what, if you do it from that side, it looks fine. If you do it from that side, you can see where I've dropped bits. But again, that's real life. And again, you can cover that up with holly or something.